Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the Tinder Podcast. I'm here with Nurse Esther Gibbs. We're just going over something that's been kind of on our mind and things that are going on in the world here. Big stuff that's happening, that's for sure. So Esther, just a quick question for you. You're telling me something about this virus that's happening, correct? I'm thinking like Walking Dead kind of stuff happening, right? So it's kind of crazy. So tell me about it, just real quick. What kind of organism is this?
So it is a virus, so you are correct about that, and it certainly is scary when it comes to like the zombie rumors that are going around. So I'm just kind of here to spread some light on what this really is and hopefully give people some ideas of how to protect themselves. So it is known as just a virus. It acts more like a retrovirus, so we see this a lot with people who have HIV or rabies, viruses like that. So
That's really interesting that you're saying that, only because I can just see a quite big population that are like believing in aliens today. That this thing is probably going to be something that may not be taken so seriously. So is there some sort of microbe transmitting? Like how is this transplaced? Like, am I going to get bitten by somebody?
So no, so it's not necessarily like that we're seeing that it's actually transmitted through biting, even though for sure if you were to be bit by someone who is already infected with this virus, you would be infected way more likely. However, it's really transmitted through bodily fluids such as saliva, and that is through broken skin is kind of what we're seeing more so is how you get infected.
Okay, so no wrestling and biting people, right? Okay, so the next thing I guess I will ask you is really, how does it replicate then, right? So I don't understand that.
So once again, when people talk about replication, they're really talking about once the virus enters into the body, how does it replicate so quickly? Does it replicate quickly? Is it a slow process? Where does it kind of go? That's what people are wanting to know. Once again, this is a very similar to when we look at HIV. When HIV replicates, it's really more so it hijacks all of our cells' DNA, and it actually changes a lot of the DNA genetic material in our cells. So what it actually does, this virus, is it's going to take the DNA material and it's going to change it into an RNA.
Wow.
And then once it's RNA, it will keep replicating very quickly.
This is sounding something like a little bit of COVID that happened a couple while back ago. It originated out in China, or I guess there's rumors about it in Ukraine. Who knows? Theories at this point. Where do you think this is originating from? Do you know?
Yes. So
By the way, I like how you have your notes ready. It's really, yeah, some people come on here have nothing ready. They're just off the bat, you know?
Thank you. So this actually originated here in the USA. There was a accident that happened within a lab. There were scientists that were working on to finding the cure for HIV. So what they were actually doing was experimenting with the HIV virus as well as the very well-known rabies virus, as they were trying to find a cure for HIV. As we know, there is not any right now. And then unfortunately, there was an accident that involved the virus to be exposed to the scientist.
Okay. Is that patient zero?
Yeah. So they would be patient zero. Unfortunately, they have passed. So we are trying to learn as much as we can from her and from what happened with her, but unfortunately she has passed at this time.
So I guess I'm asking this because I want to know, kind of like ticks, it targets a body, a specific part, right? We might be behind the ears, might be in warm areas. Does this have a specific target? Like, what is the signs that I would have, or what is the... Yeah, so what are the targets in the body that it's like the host for myself, right? You were mentioning DNA, right? But how would I know that?
Okay, so when the virus enters your body, its main goal is to go straight to your brain. It does take a little bit. We do have a little bit of an incubation period where it does the replication. What happens is it travels into the central nervous system. Once it gets into the central nervous system and travels along all the nerves, it does go into your brain. It can cause a lot of symptoms and I guess just really symptoms and side effects. that just is because your brain is swelling within your head, which we all know is not a great thing for it to happen. So there could be a lot of psychological issues, hallucinations, simple things just as fever in order to fight the infection. You could see a whole loads of other things that could happen just because of the infection in the brain due to this virus.
And we're going to be right back here on the Tinder Podcast. All right, welcome back to Tinder Podcast for that short little break there. We just went over some of the targets of where it leads and what the effects are. And I guess you don't have it, right? So I guess, is there any treatment that is currently available though?
Unfortunately, at this time, there are no treatments.
Ouch.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's really just try to protect yourself the best you can. Any sort of open wounds or sores, just keeping them covered to avoid contamination with any of the virus. Really, it's just once the virus attacks, it's really hard to avoid it, not to keep spreading, just due to the fact that it is a quick virus that's hard to treat, similar to the HIV virus, which it will use the helper cells, as we call them, the CD4 cells, and those are the ones it really attaches to, and it will quickly turn all the DNA in those cells into the RNA, basically making it like their slaves in order to continue the spread of their viruses.
Understood. So I'm planning on visiting Florida. We're up here in New England, so it's a little bit colder. Is there some sort of environment where this thrives in more than others?
Not necessarily, actually, that they're seeing. It's not that it needs a environment as in like cold or hot, like you're saying. It really just thrives within human cells. So outside of the human body, it doesn't thrive as well, which is a positive note for us, that it doesn't thrive outside the body.
So I guess my next question is, I'm an artist. I like to see what things look like. So is there some sort of picture or some sort of thing that I can visualize when I see this virus? Or what do you think? What do you see?
Yes. So I do actually have a picture. Do you want me to show you now? Or
sure, yeah. Let's go for it.
Okay. But really what you're going to be looking at is going to be more of a rounder kind of virus with the spikes.
Okay.
It does have a membrane bilayer, which is kind of is the spikes that are around it. That's really used to attach to the cell.
Right.
It does have a couple of other things, such as like the matrix protein, which is also just another binding site in order to attach to the cells and replicate. And then as well as the transcriptase, which is the encoding of the DNA to the RNA. So these are like certain enzymes that it really just needs in order to continue doing what it's doing.
Sure. Hey, welcome back to the Tinder Podcast. Sorry for that short break, but here we are again with Nurse Esther Gibbs.
So the virus name, of course, is actually called Delawarea viridae. We really just call it the Del virus just because it's easier. But it comes from just a Latin name just for delirious, just due to the way that the symptoms present with people who have this virus. That's what it's called.
Understood. Do you think people would ever get confused with a Del virus, as in like in computer Del, the virus?
I really hope not.
Okay. I don't think people would. It's very unique. So, and I don't know how many people are buying Dell computers these days anyways.
And this might put the Dell, business, maybe put it back on the market or something, or put it out of the business.
True.
We'll see.
There it is. Yeah. Not sponsored though. So is this something local, or is this something that may spread around the world?
So, as I said, it started in the USA. It really wasn't caught as quickly as I think we could have caught it. So because of that, and because of our nature to travel, we have people coming from other countries. We're going to other countries. It has already spread into other countries, and I believe that the cure won't be around for a long time, and unfortunately this is going to be spreading worldwide.
Okay. And as what would be one of your career goals, or I guess where do you see us in 5 years, if you want to answer it that way?
Honestly, I don't know if there will even be a cure in 5 years.
Okay.
However, I do believe that they are making advances, and I think that there could be some sort of cure when it comes to mothers who are going to have babies soon, that there will be a way to give immunity to the infants before they are born. So that is something that they are working on just to kind of protect our generation. We could also see that because this is a genetic, it's changing the genetic code a bit, that perhaps also immunity could just happen naturally during natural selection.
Okay, that's really interesting. And that goes for a lot of different people. As you know, on the Tinder podcast, we give out military news, nurses news, pandemic news, and everything that we can. And so I'm guessing that you're more wanting to be on the front lines. Is that correct?
Yes, that's my goal. I volunteer all the time. I try to really just stay around and help the most that I can everywhere I can.
Okay. I guess finally, I just want to ask one more time what the virus name is, what we can do as citizens, and how do you see the future?
So, once again, the common name is just the Dell virus. Really, what we can do is just keeping ourselves safe. So, very typical, the same thing we always say, washing our hands, but really just checking to make sure that if we do have any cuts or open wounds, that we are covering them immediately to avoid any of the virus entering into those open wounds. If we do have any open wounds that look like they could have been infected, to get those checked out immediately. If it happens that we do get bit for some reason, getting those checked out immediately. Like I said, it's rare, but that could be a thing. And then any other symptoms that we talked about earlier, just if you experience any of the symptoms, to immediately check in with healthcare professional.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys for coming on to the Tinder podcast. This is Nurse Esther Gibbs. And if you have any more questions, please check out our website, tinderpodcast.com.